Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm Rory McLennan, coming to you from Glasgow, Scotland. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. The Holy Father Pope Francis has appointed Canadian attorney Fra John Dunlap as the new Lieutenant of the Grand Master of the Sovereign Order of Malta. He was sworn in on June the 14th in the Church of St. Mary on the Aventine in Rome, in the presence of Papal Legate Cardinal Silvano Tomasi and members of the Sovereign Council. Fra Dunlap succeeds Fra Marco Luzzago, who passed away on June the 7th at the age of 71. During the interim period, Fra Rui Gonçalo do Valle, the Grand Commander, was tasked with leading the order as the interim lieutenant. Fra Dunlap was born in Ottawa in Canada and has a degree in law from the University of Western Ontario and an honorary doctorate in public service from the John Cabot University in Rome. He was admitted to the order in 1996 and took his temporary vows as Knight of Justice in 2004. In 2009, he was elected a member of the Sovereign Council. In Pakistan, yet another Christian has been imprisoned on foisted blasphemy charges. Remat Masi, a 44-year-old believer and the father of two teenage children, has been in jail for the past 5 months. He has been accused of desecrating pages of the Quran, an allegation he refutes. It is alleged that the real motive behind the blasphemy charge is Mr. Masi's refusal to convert to Islam, despite repeated attempts. Rights activists allege that police are threatening his family and pressuring them not to go ahead with the case. For 2 decades, Mr. Masi used to work in a publishing house that prints and distributes the Quran. It is reported that the owners and employees repeatedly coerced Mr. Masi to abandon his faith and to embrace Islam, which he refused to do. On December the 28th, 2021, he was accused of dumping some pages of the Quran in a sewer, after which he was arrested on January the 3rd. In Pakistan, the death penalty can be given if a person is proven guilty of blasphemy charges. Archbishop Paul Coakley of Oklahoma City has hailed a bipartisan proposal of 20 US senators to address the issue of gun violence. In a statement, the chairman of the US Episcopate's Committee on Domestic Justice and Human Development lauded the senators' announcement of a framework to prevent gun violence. He said in the statement that when the good of others is at stake, concrete efforts must be made. He also exhorted Congress to continue efforts to build a culture of life. The prelate said that it is imperative as Congress passes into law new protections for the American people. He also added that this willingness to engage in dialogue and commitment to the common good is an example of the better kind of politics envisaged by Pope Francis. The debate on gun violence has gained momentum following a recent series of mass shootings. Pope Francis has invited all believers to show greater solidarity with the poor in society. He made this appeal in his message for the 6th World Day of the Poor, which is commemorated on the 33rd Sunday of Ordinary Time in the ecclesiastical calendar. This year, the day falls on November the 13th, and it carries the theme, "For your sake Christ became poor," which is taken from 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 9. He exhorted Christians to reflect on the diverse forms of poverty in the world. The Pope also contemplated how the catastrophe of war in Ukraine is aggravating poverty, even as the world recovers from the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Pontiff also deplored the deportation of thousands of people in order to cut them away from their roots and give them a new identity. Believers in New York recently gathered in St. Patrick's Cathedral to pray for the victims of the war in Ukraine. The June the 11th prayer service was attended by Cardinal Dolan of New York and Archbishop Boris Gudziak of the Ukrainian Catholic Archparchy of Philadelphia. During the Panikhida, a traditional service for departed souls, the Ukrainian chorus Dumka sang hymns in English and in Ukrainian. There were many Americans of Ukrainian origin at the service, during which they prayed for their family members and their friends in their homeland. Archbishop Gudziak estimated that during the length of the 45-minute prayer, at least 10 to 20 Ukrainians would have been killed and at least 60 injured in Russian attacks. The prelate also added that the exact death toll in Ukraine is not possible to ascertain, as many people have been buried in mass graves. The Pontifical Gregorian University in Rome is to be headed by an American Jesuit. Pope Francis appointed Father Mark Lewis, S.J., who hails from Florida, as the new rector of a university that was founded in 1551. The 62-year-old priest had been serving as the academic vice-rector of the university since 2019. On September the 1st, Father Lewis will assume charge as the new rector. It was in 2017 that he joined the university's faculty as a church history and cultural heritage professor. Before his stint in Rome, he served as provincial superior of the New Orleans province of the Society of Jesus. Father Lewis was in Rome from 1996 to 2004, when he worked at the Historical Institute of the Society of Jesus. He served as its director for 6 years. Father Lewis, who has a doctorate in history from the University of Toronto, joined the Jesuits in 1980 and was ordained in 1991. In Brazil, the Chamber of Deputies has ratified the bill that earmarks September the 8th, the Nativity of Our Lady, as the National Day of the Rosary for Men. The bill, which was approved on June the 13th, will be put to a vote in the Senate. It is being championed by the Catholic organisation Terço dos Homens. According to the coordinator of the Catholic Parliamentary Front, the Terço dos Homens is the fastest growing movement in Brazil. Gleison Lozer, the Secretary General of the organisation, said that the approval for the National Day of the Rosary of Men has been awaited since February last year. Member of the Deputies, Vieira de Mello, said the Rosary of Men is valuable for the Church as it brings together men who often stay away from public worship. Terço dos Homens is recognised in 7 states of the nation. Parents of a 12-year-old boy in the United Kingdom are appealing a High Court verdict that mandates removing the life-supporting system from their child. Archie Battersby was hospitalised on April the 7th after his parents Holly Dance and Paul Battersby found him unconscious with a knot around his neck. He was reportedly a victim of an internet blackout challenge. Archie was declared brainstem dead by doctors at the Royal London Hospital in Whitechapel in East London. When the hospital decided to withdraw the child's life support system, his parents went to court. They argued that his heart was still beating and one day he would return to normal life. However, High Court Judge Emma Arbuthnot on Monday ruled that Archie died on the balance of probability based on the findings of an MRI exam put forth by the hospital administration. The parents, alongside the Christian Legal Centre support, have decided to appeal against the verdict to fight for Archie's life. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us again tomorrow for more. And remember, you can also visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.